Hello, Kaiju here. So for this video, Artisan Zero Soft review. I will be comparing this with the Artisan Zero X Soft. I will be making comparison video because I bought both of them. I bought both because I didn't know which to choose. But I already sold the X Soft because I already fell in love with the Zero Soft like right off the bat. So I won't be able to have them side by side. Already sold them, so sorry about that, but I will still be making the comparison video. I don't know if I'm going to, I probably will make a separate video because it might take too long. So anyways, the extra large soft, so dimension still the same, 49 cm by 42 cm and by 4 millimeters. So first, okay, let's go with the stitching first. I was blown away by how good and premium the stitching is. It's not really something I take notice of. I don't really care, but man, these are so good. I already expected them to be good because it's pretty much what everybody is saying. They're comparing everything to the the stitching of the artisans, like this is good but not artisan level, blah blah blah. So if you could see it, I don't know if my camera will focus. It's just so small as compared to other mouse pads. The other mouse pads are pretty thick, right? So like around 2 to 3 times bigger than this. But this really looks good, and this looks more premium and more durable. And what's really good about it, aside from it being small, is that it's below the surface of the mouse pad, right? I don't have a high-tech camera, but if you can see there, see, that's the surface of the mouse pad, and then the stitching is below it. So that's really good. I did not expect that. I didn't even know such mouse pads existed. Okay. So, stitching done. For the surface, this might be weird because I'm not sure if they changed the surface, because it's not as rough as what people claimed it to be, and it doesn't gather hair or dirt or lint or dust or whatever. If you would see any Artisan Zero reviews, two main complaints, and some they really say it right off, right in the beginning, that it's very rough on the skin and that it gathers so much hair and dust. So that's not the case for this one. I don't know if I maybe got a different copy or what, but this mouse, the surface is just so soft and it's so smooth, not rough at all. The Odin Infinity and the Aqua Control Plus is a lot more rougher. It's more noticeably rough, and even the QCK Edge is rougher than this one. Or maybe not rougher, but it's, it doesn't feel as comfortable. This one really just feels nice. I don't know, man. And then I always keep this overnight. I just I don't cover it anymore. I used to put it back in the box, but hey, I wanted to see if it gets dirty, but it doesn't. I mean, it gets dirty in the same way as most mouse pads do, some light lints and dust, but not a single strand of hair. I don't know. The QCK gets way dirtier than this. Even the Odin in Infinity a bit. I leave this here overnight, no dust, no lint, just really small, tiny amounts, the usual ones. So I don't know if they actually changed the surface or the stitching, but yeah, it's not rough anymore and doesn't gather dirt or dust. Actually, even I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot his whole YouTube name, but Sway, even come in his Artisan Zero versus X10 video or X10 review video, he mentioned that his Artisan Zero is also not rough. He was also surprised that it wasn't rough and that it didn't get dirty, even though he had lots of cats. So I commented on his video, and he said that he was surprised, and he read somewhere that some guy in Reddit, the most trustworthy site, said that the Artisan Zero was kind of updated or changed. So I don't know. I haven't asked people really, but yeah, it doesn't get dirty anymore. It's not rough anymore. Okay, and what else? For the surface, also how it feels, it's really comfortable. Even when my sweaty forearms, in the Philippines, it's really humid here. It doesn't stick. Like compared to my Aqua Control Plus, my ABBA, they would stick. It would get caught. But this one, it doesn't. You can hear it a bit, but then that's about it. You can just hear it, and it doesn't really get caught. So how the surface feels is it's hard to describe because it's just so unique. It feels very flat, no bumps or anything. It's not rough like the Odin Infinity. It's hard to explain. So anyways, it feels firm. It's firm if you put your hand on it, your palm on it. But when you squish it, it's squishable. But it bounces right back up. So it's a very firm surface. I don't know if that's something you actually use to describe a mousepad, but yeah, it's very firm, but soft if you squish it. Okay, so the Artisan Zero is the slowest artisan pad, but I still wouldn't label this as a slow pad. This is pretty fast, coming from your standard cloth pads. Okay, it's not as fast as a Odin Infinity or a new Aqua Control Plus, because that thing slows down. I'll be making a video of that as well. So I would say this is more of a mid pad that leans a bit, that leans more on the control side, but it's not fast. It's kind of a mid pad, but then it has lots of control and lots of stopping power. It's still, people say this is the QCK killer. I wouldn't call that because it feels totally different. It's because when you hear QCK, okay, scratch that. I don't want to say it's totally different, but it's pretty different. Okay, because when you hear QCK or any of those CS:GO Boomer mouse pads, you would think mud pad and slow. This is not that. Okay, Artisan, even the X Soft, it's not a slow pad. That pad feels actually kind of smoother and a little bit faster than this, especially when tracking. So yeah, this is a mid pad with lots of stopping power. Like I can just I'm not familiar. I'm not an expert on terminology yet of the static, dynamic, friction, whatever. But you don't when you're gonna flick, barely any resistance. There's no, I guess, yeah, static friction. There's nothing really stopping you when you the initiation from point A to point B. There's no initial friction, right? Barely. And then for the dynamic friction, the control while moving is very controlled. It's not slow, but it has a lot of control for me. Okay, so this pad, even though I feel like more for flicks, I still do well, and it's still, I would say, pretty good for tracking. But I don't think it's the best for tracking. But now, right, I flick, I start the movement, barely any friction. I'm moving, good control. I stop, good control as well. Good stopping power. You can pretty much stop where you want to stop, and then micro adjust. This is really good for micro adjusting. Like flick, stop, micro adjust. There's no like heavy resistance when you're flicking, and then it stops, and then you micro correct. None of that. It's easy to flick, easy to start, easy to stop, and easy to micro correct again. So here's just an example glide. See, it's still pretty fast. Slow pads don't move like that. So yeah, there's things. There's one more thing. Even though this is kind of a fast pad compared to the QCK, this has more control, surprisingly, than my QCK Edge. I don't have a QCK heavy. I don't know. I'm thinking of buying one just so I can have a benchmark, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna spend money on QCK anymore. uh, yeah, and I don't think you should either. So yeah, here's just a glide test of the stock feet, and this might be a bit. This has tiger eyes, so even if it has tiger eyes, it looks slow and controlled. It actually has more control. The tiger eyes surprisingly feels like it has more control over the stock feet, even though considering this is a fast one and usually stock feet are slow. But yeah, and yeah, maybe you could say, this is heavier, it has a cable, but yeah, I don't know. But it feels like it has more control. But I have my Viper Mini just tucked away. Tiger Arc ones, they feel really nice here as well. Like I mentioned a while ago, stock feet are so-so, but aftermarket feet are really good. So yeah, unfortunately, the Orochi only has tiger eyes, even though I want Tiger Arc ones, because I'm more of a control player. Uh, you know, control player. I prefer control more. So yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, just comment them down. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And if I missed anything, yeah. There. Does it get affected? Something very important. Does it get affected by humidity, dampness, or whatever? It doesn't. Really, it doesn't. I live in the Philippines. It's a tropical country. It's very humid here, and then it gets very damp as well. So whether it's humid or dry or whatever, it's consistent. It stays the same. It doesn't slow down. No bumpy feeling. No muddy feeling. Like even when you turn on the air conditioner, right, and then you turn it off, things start to condense. You know, moisture, the dew. Yeah, none. Even if I lightly wet this, I just spray a bit of water just to get it a little bit moist. Yeah, it's very consistent. So yeah, I really don't think you can go wrong with this. I can see this as being an end game for a lot of people, but I can also see this as being not for everyone. I can see a lot of people being disappointed when they buy this pad because it's not the slow control pad that people would think of when they hear cloth pad or control. It's still pretty fast. I feel like it's gonna throw off a lot of people who come from the slower pads. So yeah, I'd really like to see Artisan come out with a more control or a kind of slower pad. Yeah, this is their most controlled pad, but yeah, it could use a little bit more control. That would match, the QCKs and others. So what else? Yeah, I think it's pretty much it. Is it worth it? Is it worth buying? That would depend on you. I think it's only worth buying if you're not addicted to mouse pads. If you like trying out different mouse pads, I really think it's not worth it because it's not that unique. And I'm not the only one who thought of that. Even Andrew Pepe said so. If you like testing out pads, this isn't. You're gonna get disappointed because it's not super unique, and it's just an upgraded high quality cloth pad with pretty much good control, good stitching. But again, for lots of people, this could be their end game. I can consider this as my end game mouse pad if I weren't so curious in testing other mouse pads. So yeah. What's a good alternative for this? A good budget alternative would be the Aqua Control Plus. The Aqua Control Plus, maybe the Strata and the white. I feel like the black version might be a little bit too fast, but I don't have it, so I can compare it. So, just quick comparison of the Aqua Control Plus. It basically does the same thing. Aqua Control Plus is kind of fast, but has lots of control as well. The only difference is that gets affected by humidity and dampness and wetness. And when it's dry, it's brand new. It's really faster than this, but it's started to slow down, and it's now slower than this. I'll make a comparison video. So yeah, I highly recommend this pad for those that really want to try it. Honestly, you can't go wrong with this. if actually, yeah, I feel like you can go wrong. I've well, my ex off, the one I sold it to, they said, "Oh, this is even too fast for me," so they might resell it again. So just be wary of that. But then, if you're gonna buy a mouse pad this expensive, like what, $60 or 3,000 pesos, I feel like you're just gonna cope. But again, I love this mouse pad. I performed really well with this. I instantly beat some of my records in Kovacs, and I did well in Valorant, and even because I play mostly click timing on Kovacs, and I barely play tracking. But when I did my tracking scenarios with this one, instantly did just as good as when I used to train tracking, or I even beat some of my records. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm just rambling now. This is a really good pad. So just if I missed anything, just comment down below. So yeah, peace.